911 with your emergency.
This is Alec Murdaugh at 4147 Moselle Road. I need the police and the ambulance immediately. My wife and child just shot badly.
Stay on the line with me, okay? Yes, sir. Stay on the line with me, okay?
The last 4 episodes, we looked at a boating accident in Beaufort, South Carolina, as well as a mysterious death on Sandy Run Road near Hampton, South Carolina. Could these deaths be linked to the murder of Paul and Maggie Murdaugh? Before we dive into how these events could be connected, let's quickly recap what we have covered so far. The Murdaugh family has been practicing law in South Carolina for over 100 years, and 3 generations of Murdaughs served as solicitors from 1920 until 2005. Randolph Murdaugh III's son, Alec, was married to Maggie, and they had 2 kids together, Buster and Paul. In July of 2015, Stephen Smith was found dead in the middle of Sandy Run Road near Hampton, South Carolina.
This collision occurred approximately at night. As far as evidence here, there is only evidence of where the body was found.
Did you know the Murdaugh boys are behind it? Saying Buster Murdaugh, the one we went to school with, did it, and some of his friends.
You want me to bend over backwards? You want me to do whatever you need me to do? I'm telling you, I'm not the one.
Sean was drunk and hit something.
Okay.
Daryl told me that Patrick was crying, telling him, and after he got finished telling the story, he walked outside his house and threw up.
Fast forward a few years to February of 2019, when 6 people aboard the Murdaugh's boat crashed into a bridge in Beaufort, South Carolina, resulting in the death of Mallory Beach. Aboard the boat were Paul Murdaugh and his girlfriend Morgan, Connor Cook and his girlfriend Miley, and Connor's cousin Anthony Cook with his girlfriend Mallory. Looking at the evidence, I believe it was unclear who was driving the boat. But Paul was charged and was pleading not guilty to 2 felony charges of boating under the influence resulting in bodily harm and 1 felony charge of boating under the influence resulting in death. At the time of Paul's death in June of 2021, he was waiting on a trial date to be set. It was a warm summer night in rural South Carolina when Alec Murdaugh pulled into a 1,700-acre hunting lodge. The family called this property Moselle and were actually using it as their main home at the time. That night, Alec had been at the hospital visiting his sick father, Randolph Murdaugh III. It was around 10 p.m. when he got home, and when his son and wife didn't meet him at the door, he decided to check and see if maybe they were down at the kennels tending to the hunting dogs. What Alec found when he arrived was a horrific scene. His 22-year-old son Paul had been shot twice with a shotgun, once in the shoulder and once in the head. And his 52-year-old wife Maggie had been shot multiple times with a rifle. The time is 10:07 p.m. when Alec calls 911. The entire call is about 7 minutes, but we've cut out a lot of dead space for this video.
Hampton County 911 with your emergency.
This is Alec Murdaugh at 4147 Moselle Road. I need the police and the ambulance immediately. My wife and child just shot badly.
Stay on the line with me, okay? Yes, sir. Stay on the line with me, okay?
I've been up to it now. It's bad.
Okay. Okay, and are they breathing?
No, ma'am.
Okay, and you said it's your wife and your son?
My wife and my son.
Are they in a vehicle?
No, ma'am. They're on the ground out at my kennels.
Okay, and did you see anyone? Okay, is he breathing at all?
No, nobody.
Is she? Okay, do you see anything? Do you see anyone in the area?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
What color's your house on the outside?
It's white. You can't see it from the road.
Okay, is it a house or a mobile home?
It's a house.
Okay, and what is your name?
My name is Alec Murdaugh.
Okay, and did you hear anything, or did you come home and find them?
No, ma'am, I've been gone. I just came back.
Okay, and was anyone else supposed to be at your house?
No, ma'am. Please hurry.
We're getting somebody out there to you.
Oh. Oh, man. Oh.
Okay, what is her name?
Maggie and Paul.
Maggie is her name?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Ma'am, please hurry.
We're getting somebody out there to you. Me asking you these questions don't slow them down, okay? And you sure they're not breathing? Is he moving at all, your son? I know you said that she was shot, but what about your son?
Nobody. They're not. Neither one of them's moving.
And does anything look out of place?
Ma'am, not particularly, really. No, ma'am.
Okay.
All right, I'm going back down there. Are they close, ma'am?
Yeah, they've been en route with you ever since you've got on the phone with me. I have multiple people coming out there to you. Okay, can you do me a favor, Mr. Murdaugh, and turn on the flashers on your car so that way they can see where the kennels are?
21.
Do you have your flashers on for me, Mr. Murdaugh?
Yes.
Okay. I don't want you to touch them at all, okay? I don't know if you've already touched them, but I don't want you to touch them just in case they can get any kind of evidence, okay?
I'd already touched them trying to get to see if they were breathing.
Okay. Well, I just don't want you to move anything just in case they can get any kind of evidence, okay?
Oh. Ma'am, I'm going to call. I need to call some of my family.
Okay. Well, do me a favor for me. Whenever you see the officer or the medics, because they're all coming to you.
Absolutely.
Okay. But we have them come in, turn on the flashes on your vehicle so they can see you, okay? You got the flashers on for me?
I do.
Okay. All right. Just whenever you see them.
Okay.
How old is your son?
22.
Okay. All right. We're getting them out there to you, okay?
And I will answer if you call.
All right.
Police arrived shortly after and secured the scene. Unlike the two other events that we have covered, the investigation into this case has very little info that's been made available to the public. Here's what we know at the time of recording this episode. The coroner determined the time of death to be between 9 and 9:30 p.m., so Alec discovered the body shortly after the murders took place. Maggie's phone was missing from the scene and was found the day after the murders on another road near the property. Alec and Buster put out a $100,000 reward for info leading to the arrest of Paul and Maggie's killers. One thing that many people point out when looking at this incident is the fact that Paul lived in Columbia, South Carolina at the time. He spent most of his time there, some of it at the Moselle property, some of it at the River House near Beaufort, and some of it at the house on Edisto Beach. The Murdaugh family had multiple properties, so it's believed that the killers would have to be familiar with the family to know when they would have been at Moselle. The investigation into the murders of Paul and Maggie Murdaugh is still ongoing, and at the time of recording this, nearly 6 months after the murders took place, law enforcement has made almost no information available to the public. I've been doing some speculating in the series, but I've been trying to keep it reasonable and be responsible about it. Some of my personal thoughts I've left out of these videos because I didn't feel like there was enough evidence to support them. This episode is going to be a little different. In order to cover the theories surrounding who killed Paul and Maggie Murdaugh, we have to speculate. While I will give as much evidence as I can to support each theory, the evidence is extremely limited and much of it is circumstantial. Remember, the idea of being innocent until proven guilty is extremely important, and as we look at these theories, we want to hold our belief in them lightly and with a grain of salt, knowing that they're just possibilities. There has been speculation that the murders of Paul and Maggie were somehow retaliation for the death of Stephen Smith. In my opinion, this doesn't really make any sense. Buster was the one potentially implicated in the death of Stephen, not Paul or Maggie. In addition, I've met Stephen's mother, Sandy, and I know people who actually know her, and she really is the sweetest lady. Stephen's mother was questioned by the police and nothing came of it. Stephen's father passed away in 2015, years before the murders of Paul and Maggie. There's honestly not much to cover here. We do know the investigation into Stephen Smith was reopened based on information received while investigating the murders of Paul and Maggie, but I think that might tie into another theory. When I first heard about the murder of Paul and Maggie, it was told to me in the context of the boating accident. My roommate John, who's actually been helping me with these videos, came home and said, "Did you hear what happened to the guy who was driving the boat when Mallory Beach died? Him and his mother were shot." It's easy to speculate that their deaths were revenge killings for Mallory's death, whether that be from Mallory's boyfriend Anthony or from Mallory's family. Here's what we know. All of the parties involved in the boating accident voluntarily submitted to questioning, as well as provided DNA samples. We don't have recordings of the interviews available, as this is an ongoing case. Mallory's family came out with this statement via their lawyers after the murders of Paul and Maggie. This is what it said. "The Beach family extends its deepest and warmest sympathies to the Murdaugh family during this terrible time. Having suffered the devastating loss of their own daughter, the family prays that the Murdaughs can find some level of peace from this tragic loss. They would like the family and the community to know that their thoughts and continued prayers are with the Murdaughs. It is their most sincere hope that someone will come forward and cooperate with the authorities so that the perpetrator of these senseless crimes can be brought to justice." In an interview with Paul's uncles, they share that Paul had been receiving death threats. While Paul had not been found guilty in court, as a local, I can confidently say that he had been found guilty in the court of public opinion, and locally he was pretty well disliked. The fact that he was receiving death threats doesn't surprise me at all. There's a small possibility that his death was a result of locals taking action into their own hands, but at this time there's no evidence to support that. At the end of the day, we do know that 2 people lost their lives. This was said about Maggie Murdaugh in her obituary. Maggie graduated from the University of South Carolina in 1991, where she met her husband, Alec. She was a member of Kappa Delta sorority and has kept in touch with many of these friends over the years. Maggie and Alec raised their 2 sons in Hampton, South Carolina, and enjoyed spending their summers at their beach house in Edisto. Maggie had a heart of pure generosity and loved welcoming friends and family into her home on any given occasion. She adored her family and cherished spending time on the boat with her 2 sons. She will be remembered as a second mom to her sons' many friends. She made the most out of every situation and lived each day to the fullest. I didn't know Paul Murdaugh, and according to some stories we have heard, he's done some messed up stuff. I'm not here to defend those actions, but I know that he didn't deserve to be killed for them. It's so easy to judge someone without taking into consideration the wider context of how they became who they are. I had amazing parents, and I'm genuinely grateful for how they raised me. Who's to say any of us would behave any differently at 19? Given the same upbringing that Paul had. When Paul got drunk, his friends said that he would act completely differently. They even gave his drunk alter ego the name Timmy. It seems to me that many of the people following this story assume that Paul was Timmy all the time, but we actually know very little about who Paul really was. Maybe he is a villain in this story, but even if he is, his opportunity to change, mature, and become a positive member of society was taken away from him, and that's not okay. I'm different right now than I was at 19, and I'm sure the same could be said about many of you watching. Regardless of who Paul was as a person, his life was cut too short. This was written in Paul's obituary. Paul grew up with a love for the outdoors and particularly enjoyed hunting at their lodge in Moselle with his father Alec and his brother Buster. He was a junior at the University of South Carolina, where he was often found cheering on the Gamecocks with his friends and family. Paul never met a stranger and had an abundance of friends. He was always eager to lend a helping hand to anyone in need. No one was more loving and genuine than Paul, and because of this, his personality was one of a kind. I know it seems like we've covered a lot, and we have, but trust me when I say this story is far from over. The next few episodes, we're going to explore another death connected to the Murdaugh family, as well as some interesting connections that the family has, and how those connections might have played a part in the murder of Paul and Maggie Murdaugh. Stay tuned because the rabbit hole goes much deeper. If you're enjoying this series, I would be honored if you subscribed and liked this video. Love you guys. See y'all in episode 6.
Hampton County 911 was your emergency. I got a flat tire, and I stopped, and somebody stopped to help me, and when I turned my back, they tried to shoot me. Oh, okay. Were you shot? Yes. Okay. I'm seeing, and I'm bleeding a lot. What's your name? Alex Murdaugh.